Hey, what up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Fun Speculation. My name is Mav, and this is another impromptu, random Sunday night stream. Just chilling, chatting, talking video games, talking Xbox. And I want to thank you all for tuning in to the stream, whether you're here now or later. Appreciate each and every one of you, and thanks for checking out the channel. If you like the content here on Fun Speculation, hit that like button, share, and subscribe to the channel. Sometimes you feel like just hanging out and chilling, talking a little bit. And one of my favorite things about having this channel is to be able to just go live and chill and hang out with the chat and talk with you guys. And it's been amazing to be able to do that. You guys show up time and time again. So a shout out to the people that are already here as well. I see Calarie, Tom Fortunami, Fifth Horseman, Dr. Funkenstein, Alvin here as well. Yeah, 2023 has been amazing so far for Xbox, and it's going to continue to be. And so I just want to kind of talk about, where they're at, like what's been going on this year, kind of compare it to where they were before. Is this the start of the new Xbox this year, right? And I kind of feel like it is. We'll get into all the reasons why and everything, but I want to again say thanks to the chat. You guys rock. Phasma, what's up, Phasma? How you doing? And let's have some fun. BigMADMoe, what up, BigMADMoe? These Sunday night streams have been a little bit more often lately. Sometimes I'll play a game. You know what? At the end of this, maybe I'll hop into a game as well. I don't know what's all gonna happen. These things become fluid. But it's been a week, right? It's been definitely an interesting week. For Xbox, because you have a lot of amazing news, and some of it was overshadowed by some criticism, right? And but regardless of all of that, like, it's time to just sit back and take a overall grander scope look at how Xbox is doing. And I think, like, the most of the community, at least, and gamers can kind of agree that this is becoming a banner year, right? It's becoming a year that I think a lot of us are going to remember when we look back at, like, when did Xbox start getting everything put together for this new wave, this new identity, this new Bethesda focus as well, identity with them, and big games releasing and a good cadence. More Game Pass deals even than last year as well already. And we're only in month 3 right now for Xbox. So it's just like a continuing trend that we're starting to see. And this is what a lot of us have been talking about for a long time here. It's like, and we've always had, just wait, just wait. Next year's going to be the year. Just wait, next year's going to be the year. You know, this has been going on for a long time. This year is the year. That time has come. The time has finally come to say Xbox putting it all together. This is the year, and this is what to expect, I believe, going forward. And how is that going to affect Xbox? How is that going to affect the rest of the industry? How's that going to affect us, right? ABK deal is still potentially getting done here in the next couple months as well. So how is that going to affect things, right? 2023, again, banner year. I think it's going to be a landmark year. And what we talked about a few months back is if they do hit on a lot of these games this year, um, this is the start of the new era for Xbox, right? We're a couple years into the Bethesda's ZeniMax Bethesda acquisition now, so we're really starting to see the dividends of that. Multiple games releasing this year from those teams and more. Also, because of the show last year that they had at E3, where they did handicap it to a 12-month window, that leaves a lot to be like unexpected for this coming up E3, right? Like, we have no idea what to expect really at this E3. They even, with this new Starfield announcement of the new release date in September, they announced that they're doing a Starfield Direct is going to be after the Xbox show. So Starfield's not even going to necessarily be a part of the Xbox show at E3. It's going to be an after show for Starfield. So does that mean Forza may be included in the show potentially? But like, besides that, the whole window and the whole doors open for other first party games to fill in the showcase for. And guess what? That's coming up sooner than we all think. It's only 3 months away. Only 3 months away before. So it's like, is it too early to talk about E3 and what Xbox is doing? Well, I don't know. They already have been announcing what their plans are now. What for the shows. You know, they did say they're not going to have a booth at E3, but they are still going to have their show, followed by the Starfield Direct. So what is all going to happen then? You know, and what will that add to the already amazing year that we've had? And what will it be going forward? We all know that 2022 is kind of lackluster. For me, so far, the first 3 months of 2023 already crushed 2022 as a whole. And we got 9 months to go. 9 months to go. Still not everything's peaches and cream. Not everything's rainbows and roses. We still have issues like with some games and performance on PlayStation over Xbox and stuff like that. But like, I think as the Xbox gets stronger with their platform and more users subscribe to Game Pass and buy Xbox Series X's and S's, I think what we're going to see is those tables turn and maybe more and more developers start choosing Xbox as a lead development platform as opposed to choosing PlayStation first and then taking what little time they got left to move and see what they can accomplish with the Xbox Series X and S. Shout out to Jason Max. How you doing? Says, I'm playing a Power Washer Simulator right now because I'm bored with game selection. Wow. Bored with the game selection right now. That's there's a lot. I can't even keep up. But Power Wash Simulator, we all know how I feel about that. I need to dive back in to clean the Croft Manor, to check out the Final Fantasy stuff as well. Lots of amazing things going on with the Power Wash Simulator. Maybe the most successful Square published game in a long time. That's funny to say that. But with that's the one game I haven't seen them come out and say we're disappointed with the sales and the performance of Power Wash Simulator. That's the one game that we aren't seeing Square Enix talk about with that, right? What's up, Tony Grasso? How you doing? Spider-Man, how's it going? 3-bit. What is going on, dude? Let's see who else we got. Polybaba, what's good? How are you doing? My BigMADMoe, how are you? Yeah, it's a great year so far. So just to kind of put it into perspective, right? Like, there has been a lot of talk with 2022 about the lackluster amount of first-party games. The big games that we expected for last year, like Starfield and stuff at Redfall had been pushed out of that window. So like 2022 fell a little flat, you know. Um, so that to be expected, that should make for a better year this year. But what we didn't expect starting back in January when they finally had that deep dive, that developer direct of these different games, we had a shadow drop in January. For the first time in a while, Xbox came out with a huge surprise. And not only did they set expectations, but they delivered upon those expectations and beyond. They set expectations and then delivered more than what they said. So they over exceeded their expectations that they had set for everybody, which is kind of like been the biggest MO that Xbox has had for a while, is like falling flat of promises or expectations and stuff for a long time. Everything's so great with Xbox. Everyone's been having fun, but like the messaging has been weak, including last year's 12-month showcase that they, for some reason, decided to do. But going into now with the Dev Direct, that flip flopped, right? Not only did they give us expectations, but they surprised us with a shadow drop. So we got that in January, right? Then it comes where, okay, well, what else is happening? Well, we got Minecraft release date is happening in April. We have Redfall is in May. We have Starfield now has a release date for September. We have an unknown release date right now for Forza, potentially still happening in 2023. But if it does hit 2023, which is what they said, still again, then we're looking maybe, I would assume, either July, August, or October. Because I don't think it would happen in September. I think with Starfield, I think they would do July, August, or September. September makes a lot more sense, or not September, October makes a lot more sense to me for Forza than a July or August, just because of the time of year and everything for that. And you can set up again if you do September, October, then you can have a November or December where you have another big title, right? So yeah, it's like I was like under promised and over delivered with the Xbox Dev Direct, like Pong said tonight. 100%. That's like a big thing. That's the thing in business in general. Like they train you, right? If you do sales, right? Now, I do sales for a living. And when I'm selling to a customer, if I promise them the world and guarantee all this stuff, or I tell them this and that, and then like fall way short of those expectations that I set, then it leads to a disappointment with my customer, right? It leads to issues that never necessarily had to arise. It leads to potential problems. Now, sometimes you need to oversell to get a sale, right? But when you do that time and time again, it compounds upon itself and you start getting more and more negativity back, right? So if you set honesty as the number one expectation for you to have, and you put that forward to your customers, a lot of times, yeah, maybe you're not going to sell as much, but guess what? The people that are enjoying your brand will be happier and they will share that word of mouth and help you grow, right? So setting expectations is a huge important part of business and sales. It's also one of the main issues that Xbox has had. It's not all their fault. We've had a lot of things in the world that have happened with this, but with all those factors, that's something that should be factored in with the reality, right? So they still got a market, they got a business to run, they're trying to compete, so all those things play factors. So you can't necessarily blame them for all that. But I think this year at that Dev Direct is the first time in a while that we can see that they may have learned their lesson with a lot of this stuff. And now they're on track for what seems to be a really positive momentum this year. So it's a great time to be in the Xbox ecosystem because of all these Xbox games coming that we know about. But it's even better time when you think about all the games that we don't know about and that have not been announced yet. And then it's even another better time when you think about all of the Game Pass deals they're starting to make with these third-party publishers. Games or publishers like Capcom. Now, chat, I would like your help with this. I see lots of more awesome people here. Shout out to Raid. Why so serious? How's it going? What's up, Psycho? How are you doing, bro? I would like the help from this with the chat because I've been trying to think about this. Is there another Capcom besides Monster Hunter Rise? Because Monster Hunter Rise, when it hit Xbox this year, it was its first time on consoles besides the Switch, right? So when Monster Hunter Rise hit Xbox this year, it was a Game Pass day one, right? But we also just got another Game Pass day one game from Capcom. And that game is Exoprimal, which is a game they've been marketing now for a while at Capcom. And now we're getting that this year in Game Pass day one. Yeah, now some people don't like all the live service stuff, the battle pass things. I am not a huge proponent of it. I like when some games have it, some games don't, right? Some publishers I feel like are going all in on that stuff. Some of those games are a good fit for Game Pass though, because what you get with Game Pass is you have about 30 million subscribers that are going to get access to that game. Maybe not all of them are going to play it, but you're going to get a lot of people that may try that game that never would have otherwise because it's a day one launch. The other thing is that you're also going to be in a lot of places immediately because of that, with the cloud infrastructure, with also Xbox marketing deals not restricting you from releasing on other platforms as well. So you can do Game Pass and still release on PlayStation. You can still release on Steam. You can still release on wherever else they want to put the game, right? So you have more potential to have a lot of people try a game that you may have never had before. So it's a good fit for a new IP, especially like Exoprimal, that's based on multiplayer, right? So for me, it's a huge get for Xbox day one, and it's a Capcom game. So chat, what I want to know, besides Monster Hunter Rise and Exoprimal, has there been any other Capcom games hit day one for Game Pass? I can't think of any. And, Game Pass has been around since 2016 or so? I can't remember exactly when they launched it. And it's evolved over time to add more and more value, more and more Game Pass games. And we know a couple years ago when a game like Outriders hit day one and then MLB The Show hit day one, it was like, whoa, this is different. Big third-party publisher games are starting to hit day one in Game Pass, not just first-party. It opened things up to more possibilities, right? So is there other Capcom games that have done that yet? Because for me, whenever you see a new thing, right? Whenever you see a new thing happen, and I talked about this, I remember being on, I think it was Xbox Factor podcast with Boom and the Double Barrel Gaming family over there when Outriders had been announced for Game Pass, right? And I remember thinking at the time when we talked about this, that sets up a new possibility that hasn't happened before with big third-party games happening day one, right? So when we have this now, does this set the table for more Capcom deals? Right? Now, I'm not saying that, they're going to, every Capcom game's going to hit Game Pass day one. But when you have two hit the Xbox ecosystem for the first time within a few months of each other, within a few months of each other, and they both hit Game Pass day one, that leads me to believe there's more possibilities for other Capcom games to hit day one in the future, because it tells me that Capcom believes in Game Pass. Capcom is a believer in Game Pass. And they're believer, unlike some other big third-party publishers like Take-Two, that they believe in being able to put some of their games in Game Pass day one. So this makes me wonder, now Street Fighter 6 we know isn't going to happen. You know, we know stuff like that isn't going to happen, right? But what other possibilities could there be for Capcom games, right? I mean, they've still got lots to probably announce in the future. Capcom's doing way better than they were a couple years ago. They're still doing marketing deals with Sony as well, but it had been a while since we've seen them this cozy with Xbox. It reminds me going into what we're seeing this year now with them getting a little bit closer again, how it was back in the 360 days with Capcom when we got games like Lost Planet and we got games like Dead Rising that were actually even Xbox exclusives, right? Back then, Capcom really believed in Xbox. They had struggled for a while around the same time Xbox was really struggling. And they started taking these deals and stuff. You know, Street Fighter V was exclusive to PlayStation and things like that. Like things that they never would have done before. Microsoft was supposedly even close to acquiring Capcom at one time when they were down and out. But now it's like both companies are stronger than they were before and are in a better position. And with that, now we're even seeing more deals come back to fruition with Xbox. So that's for me, that's a big thing. Now I don't know how often this is going to happen, but anytime you see a publisher do a deal like this, it lets me know that that publisher is willing to do these kind of deals. So we have an expectation now that it's a possibility for Capcom future games to get a deal for Game Pass. So it's new territory, right? Is Exoprimal going to be the biggest game ever? I don't know. Could be pretty solid. I'm looking forward to playing it. It looks pretty badass to me. Co-op fun with friends, PvE, right? So what do you guys think? I haven't seen anybody mention another day one Game Pass game from Capcom. So I'm assuming those two are the first. Matt McDonald Media says, I just want to point out that if Spider-Man 2 and Starfield release the same time, I'm playing Spider-Man first only because it's way shorter, so nothing interrupts Starfield. That's fair enough. I think Spider-Man is going to get a lot of hype and it's going to be a really popular game, but there's going to be twice as many people at least play Starfield. And that's not because one may be more popular than the other. It's just because Spider-Man 2 is only releasing on PS5 and Starfield is releasing on Steam. It's releasing on Xbox. It's releasing at a lot of places. Like if this ABK deal gets done, it may even be in Nvidia at the time. Potentially, I don't know if that's going to happen. It might just be Call of Duty that happens with there. But what I think may be happening with Nvidia is the ability to buy all Xbox games in the future in their cloud service. You can play on mobile. You can just subscribe to Game Pass. You can play on a janky ass PC via the cloud, right? You just got to have a good internet connection. So like the accessibility for Starfield is going to be way more than having to buy a $500 box and then buy a $70 game. Literally, if you just have a tablet and a controller or a janky ass PC or whatever, you can just pay the $15 or do a trial for Game Pass or even, and you can play Starfield, right? So for me, and also like Starfield is a lot of hype as well. Like it's the most wishlisted game on Steam. It has been for a long time now. Several other Game Pass games and other Xbox games are highly wishlisted on Steam. One of the controversial moves that Xbox made at the time, releasing their games on PC day one, all that stuff that some people didn't like, it's paying off for Xbox. And we're going to see probably twice as many people playing Starfield than Spider-Man 2, even if they ended up releasing the same day. Because guess what? A lot of people that play on Steam or play all these other places may not have a PS5, right? Starfield is going to be the biggest launch that Xbox has had in years, and maybe even a decade, maybe since Halo 3. Starfield is going to be that big and that important. Um, as Muslim Shmeek says, Starfield better have mods for Xbox. Oh, you best believe it will. Yeah. A future generation since Halo 2. Yeah. Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo CE. I think honestly Starfield might be the most important game for Xbox since Halo CE. Halo CE established Xbox as a brand. I think Starfield will establish this new identity for Xbox. Fireboss says, greets peeps. What's up? How's it going? Future generations. What's up with you? How's it going? Roshan Eppinger, how's it going as well? Roshan says, I just heard of a subscription service that lets you play your Steam library on Xbox. What is that exactly? I know that you can do like cloud streaming from Steam or something via like a browser, something like that. I'm not sure how that works though. And Why So Serious says, yeah, there was mods in Skyrim from Xbox. Yeah, they keep talking about mods and mod support going forward with Bethesda games. Bethesda's been the primary pusher for that. Bill's behind it. Todd's behind it. You best believe Starfield's going to have mods for console. And the crazy thing is, like, that's a game that when it launches, it's going to have the main content. But with all the mod support and everything, it's going to get over the years. Who knows what kind of life Starfield can have. I mean, this is going to be a generational game, I think. Is Spider-Man 2 going to be a generational game? It'll be a good game. I don't think it'll be a generational game. I think it'll be a lot like Spider-Man. A lot like Miles Morales, you know? That doesn't make it generational for me, right? A generational game is like really pushing the boundaries, changing things, gonna last a long time, have a long lifespan, right? Like a Witcher 3 could be seen as a generational game. A Skyrim could be seen as a generational game. Halo CE could be seen as a generational game, right? You could even say God of War 2018, maybe, right? Things like that. Spider-Man is on going to be on its third iteration of this new style for the Spider-Man games and being the Sony exclusives. So I think it's going to be a great game. I'm not trying to take anything away from it. I think it's going to be fantastic. But I think it's going to still feel a little samey than the last two Spider-Man games, right? The original Gears, especially the Gears, yeah, generational, I think. Like, that's a good call out. Mass Effect, generational, right? Starfield is a new IP and a new uncharted territory for Bethesda. The kings of single player, story based, open world RPGs. Just who they are. It's what they do. People are Psycho says people are saying Spider-Man 2 is going to take place in the same city. Well, that's where Spider-Man lives. That's where he does his stuff. So I would assume so, unless they do like a Spider-Man like goes to London or something like that. What's up, Reggie Lee? How's it going? What's up, Lanzo86? Froggy says after a while, more of the same gets boring. That's one of the reasons I kind of like don't get a lot of excited for a lot of this PlayStation big exclusives. Is not because I didn't enjoy them at some point, or it's just like I don't know. I get a little stale with it, and I'd rather have new experiences, right? PlayStation Spider-Man 2 Far From Home. Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Psycho says there are 5 boroughs in New York. Well, maybe they expand upon it, Psycho, and maybe they cover more territory, right? Maybe they go over to Jersey. It'll be Spider-Man in Jersey. Tom says 60% it will be cross-gen, to 40 it won't. So, did they already say if Spider-Man 2 is only on PS5 or will it be on PS4 as well? Sousa asks, do I get tired of Gears? Gears got a little stale for me. The original trilogy hit a lot harder than 4 and 5 did. I like 4 and 5. I think they're great games. But I did feel like at the time after those games that it needed a break. it needed some time to refresh and have some time off and get that community anticipation back again. That like sometimes people got to really miss something to be excited for the new thing again, right? Like you don't know what you have until it's gone. You know what I mean? And like they had been on such a regular cadence with Gears for a long time that I'm kind of glad it's taking a longer time for 6. But like part of me also wanted to see what else the coalition can accomplish because there's such masters with Unreal Engine. And with Unreal Engine 5 coming out, I wanted to see like, man, what can these guys do? I remember when they were Black Tusk Studios and Microsoft had just um, announced them to the world, and they had this this like engine demo style trailer at E3 one year, and they talked about them and how this developer wanted to make some of the biggest, best games in the industry. And they showed this demo, and it was like a spy game, and they were like climbing on this building in like Shanghai or something like that. I don't know. It was nighttime, and it was super dark, and there was a skyscraper that these spies were climbing, and I was like, that's who the then what happened is Microsoft bought the Gears IP from Epic, right? And they brought in Rod Ferguson. Black Tusk became the Coalition, and they became the Gears studio. So I wanted to see like, could they still do the other stuff and do Gears and maybe become like a 2-pillar studio? K-Sante says, in fact, the game was called Shanghai. Yeah. Could they become a 2-pillar studio? Kind of like Naughty Dog became Uncharted and The Last of Us, right? Like Naughty Dog is up there, right? People just associate Coalition with Gears now. It's just like, that's the Gears studio. Like 343 is like, that's the Halo studio. But like some of these studios that get the most respect in the industry show that they can do more than just one thing. Like Insomniac, right? They're not just Spider-Man, even though that's all they've been lately. But they used to do so many different things, right? Now they got Wolverine coming as well. So we'll be able to see how they make a Wolverine game, right? A lot of studios that get the most respect are capable of different things. BioWare had not only did they do Mass Effect, they did Knights of the Old Republic, they did Jade Empire, right? Then they did Dragon Age. They had done Neverwinter Nights, they'd done Baldur's Gate. Time and time again, they had hit after hit after hit after new things, right? Sometimes a company is like, hey, we made a hit with this. Now we just need that studio to only make those things, right? So I kind of like when these studios mix it up and experiment with different things and have more than one IP, because you can always go back to the hits. You can always go back to these super popular IPs. But when you have this regular release cadence sometimes of them, like every 2-3 years, I think Gears have been primarily like every 3 years for the most part. When you have that regular cadence, it's like, okay, yeah, like I want to see what else they can do. And that's just a me thing. I still want Gears to exist. Gears is like a pillar for Xbox. Halo, Gears, Forza, right? But it's good to kind of get away from just that as your identity for Xbox. And some of these studios making other projects could help that, because 343 could get more respect from the industry if they made another game that became a hit. The Coalition could get more respect if they made another game that became a hit. And then you could have, every 3 years a different game to look forward to, and it's just maybe not everybody wants that. Everybody may just want them to only stick to one thing. I don't know, but that's just a personal thing for me. Tom says Insomniac has come out and said PS5 only. So did the studio that made GT7. So I mean, if Jim sees money on the table, he'll take it if he showed he has before. Fair enough. What's up, Charlie? How's it going? What's up, Sappho? Mozum Shmeek. K. Asante's in the house. K. Asante says Insomniac is one of the best VR game studios out there. Most don't know that. Meta is around today because of a bunch of AAA Insomniac games. Yeah, I had no idea. I don't really follow VR too much because I don't like it. It makes me sick when I play games in VR. But, Insomniac can do a lot of things. Another studio that can do a lot of things, Respawn. Right? Respawn can make a game like Jedi Survivor or Jedi Fallen Order. They can make a game like Titanfall. They can make a game like Apex Legends, right? They even made a Medal of Honor VR experience that won a freaking Oscar because of the documentaries that were in the game. So yeah, Respawn is showing how capable they are, right? As well. I really love when these studios branch out. Now, maybe Microsoft needs them to do the only one thing, but you know, it would Rare be the same thing they are today if all they made was Banjo, right? Would Insomniac be who they are today if all they made was Ratchet and Clank? You know, like it's good to do different stuff. So it is what it is, right? Let's see. Yeah, Sappho says, VR is just not for me. Yeah, me neither. Maybe one day when I can put on like a pair of glasses, right? And I get this amazing VR experience. I just hit a button and I get transported to another world. Then I'm in on VR. And if there's no like sickness, you know, but with having this huge contraption on my head, especially when I got a fucking cord hooked up, you know, I feel constrained. I don't want to move too much. I'm afraid I'm going to knock shit over, or like I'm going to like pull the cord out of my PC, or like I don't know. It's when I'm blinded from the outside world, it's an ordeal to like move in and out of the experience. Then VR is just not going to be for me yet. It needs to be easier to get into and get out of, and more free. I think for me personally to be into it. Now, is there going to be hardcore enthusiasts and a lot of enthusiasts that don't mind any of that stuff? Absolutely. Um, Me personally, I do. Right. And I think a technology will eventually get there. Sappho says, how can Microsoft force a studio to do something when they get criticized for not doing anything? That's funny. Gogol says, I think it's up to the studios if they want to make other games. Not sure if Microsoft forces them to make Gears Halo. I don't know. That's a good question, right? I don't know if it's because here's the thing, that Coalition was supposed to be making another side project that rumors are that it was canceled, I think. Like they had actually announced that they had multiple projects in the works. Then the leaks came out that like one of them was like a new IP, right? And then now it's canceled and they're full production on Gears 6. I don't know whose decision that was. Was it Coalition's or was it Microsoft's? Regardless, the good thing about Xbox now is the issue they had before was when you only had a certain amount of these first party developers and you had your Playground Playground became an acquisition later because they were actually kind of a second party studio for a while, but you had Turd 10 did Forza, you had Coalition did Gears, you had 343 did Halo, you had Rare doing whatever it is they were doing, you know, like which we know it eventually became Sea of Thieves. Then you have Minecraft team, Mojang doing Minecraft. It was like, okay, well, we know what those studios are doing, right? And that became kind of like the identity for Xbox, right? But now it's different because you added ZeniMax Bethesda, and you got new IPs coming out like Redfall, right? Starfield. You have a new random game that dropped this year, Hi-Fi Rush, out of nowhere. So they're getting back. Xbox is getting back to having more and more new IP. Plus, also being able to have enough dev studios and talent there to bring back some of the old dormant franchises. Plus, still continuing those others that we all have known and loved for so long. So it's not just any one box. Like Microsoft's checking all these boxes. And then they go above and beyond that, right? They bring games like Flight Sim to console, right? They're bringing like games like Age to console. They're going out and they're doing third-party deals and bringing games into Game Pass day one. They're reaching out to third-party developers and doing game publishing deals like with Avalanche and Contraband, right? So there's all these different things. And who knows if the IO Interactive game, that fantasy game is going to end up being an Xbox property or not. Originally, it was rumored to be, but we'll see what happens with that. You also have the Project Suerte from certain affinity that could or could not be something like that as well. But you have all these different things happening behind the scenes. And the crazy thing is when you look at all of it, with as strong as Xbox is getting, with as strong as the Game Pass lineup and library is getting, this is still without ABK in the fold. This is just with what's quantified and what we know now. Right? Sup Invader, how's it going? I was able to catch some of Invader Gaming and TXR's show a little while ago. Great job on the podcast, bro. Lemon, what's up? 108 Dragons TV, how's it going? Lemon says, with the ABK deal, I want WoW to be on console. I think it could be a good move. Like, there's a lot of players that never played WoW because they don't really game on PC that may be interested in checking it out. If you could find a way to somehow bridge that gap with Game Pass and WoW, that could be a big deal. You know, they're kind of doing that with Riot Games and PC Game Pass right now, where they made that third-party deal with all those Riot games to where if you subscribe to Game Pass, you get all the content in those games. So maybe they can do stuff like with World of Warcraft like that. I don't know. Like, I'm not a WoW player, so I don't know everything that would be involved with it. But I think Game Pass opens up possibilities for franchises to come to console that may have skipped out before, because you take away that $60, $70 barrier of entry where people don't necessarily want to go all in to try something. One of the reasons I'm not into VR because I don't want to pay $500, $600 to try it again when I had a bad experience the last time. Right? When you have like a higher gate of entry, the harder it is for somebody to just dabble in it to see if it's for them. Like, the more expensive something is, the more confident they got to be with their decisions. You know what I mean? My beautiful wife Caitlin's hanging out in the chat too. Kate says guest houses will have to start being built with a VR room. Yeah. Oh, I guess Jasper sent something. I'm trying to keep up with the chat, but you guys are being amazing. The chat's flowing right now, so appreciate everybody watching. Yeah, Psycho confirmed also that PS5 only is listed by Marvel for Spider-Man 2. So yeah, it looks like it's only on PS5, which, if that's the case, again, like, I'm sure it's going to sell really well, right? God of War Ragnarok sold pretty well, like it's around 11, 12 million probably now. But Starfield will be played by at least 20 million within the first month. At least. I mean, probably even more than that. Like, you're talking about 30 million Game Pass subscribers plus all the players on Steam, and that's a PC game as well. Like, there's a lot of PC players that are really looking forward to Starfield. So that's gonna be massive. I mean, it's gonna be fucking huge. And people say, well, it doesn't equal sales, right? I don't care. Like, the more people that play it, the more popular it is. Like, we talk about how popular Stranger Things is? Or like some of these other shows that like hit like Netflix, or The Last of Us is on HBO right now. Everybody's talking about it. Like, but they didn't sell any copies of the episodes. Like, how many people are buying it? Like, nobody cares. If you play it, if you watch it, or whatever, it's more popular. The more people that have access to it gains more popularity for the brand, for the franchise. And I would rather more people play my product than less. Even if you may make a lot of money up front right away, the long-term effects of that is not as good, potentially, as more people having access to it. Because you get those subscribers into Game Pass, they're going to keep making that $15 every month, especially when you have a pipeline coming out like Xbox does. This is why this is the new era. This is why 2023 is amazing. Like, if every year was like 2022, like, Game Pass would not be like the end all be all that it's going to be. But like, this year is showcasing the plan that Xbox had in place. Literally, you have all these games. You have Hi-Fi Rush, Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition, Age of Empires 4 is coming. Minecraft Legends, Forza Motorsport, Redfall, Starfield, potentially more. There's other games like Exoprimal, day one in Game Pass from third party. You could have Hellblade 2 this holiday. I'm crossing my fingers on that. I think there's a lot of smoke around that right now that could be true. You look at what they're doing now with the frequent updates that they said they're going to start bringing to people of the game this early this year. Why would they do that unless they're thinking about potentially releasing this holiday season? Tommy Jordan says that God of War still is better than anything Xbox will be releasing. So that's a bold statement that is an opinion based on personal preference. You can say something sells more, something is more popular due to metrics, something that may have a higher score on Meta or over something else, but to blanket say it is better than, that comes to personal taste. If it's better for you, more power to you. I'm glad you enjoy the game. Personally, Starfield is going to be way more important and better for me as a gamer than God of War. I don't care what kind of game it is. If I like playing it, then it's better for me. If you like playing God of War, then it's better for you. That absolutely has no value as a statement. Period. Like, that's like a worthless statement. It doesn't even make any sense. Future Generation says Hellblade 2 will make God of War look like a PS3 game. Like, it could. I mean, Hellblade 1, if you play the Series X update on that game, on a Series X, if you played Hellblade 1, that game, it looks fucking amazing. I don't know how, like, graphically, that's another opinion of whether you like one game over another as well. But I imagine that Hellblade 2 is going to be a standard setting game for graphics. More than anything we've seen probably so far. Especially with the first party implementation now, where they're going to get all that extra support and everything, all these engineers, and being able to fully utilize all the features that the console has, not having to worry about parity over another console, not having to worry about making the game for this other console. And like, when they that's the benefit of exclusivity. Like, I'm not like everything needs to be exclusive thing, but like, in fact, I'd rather most games not be, personally. But that's the biggest benefit, is they're going to truly be able to optimize the crap out of that experience. Where I don't like it is when these companies that aren't even owned, that have these big properties, keep relying on that as their like shortcut way of financing their business models, like Square. You're just shortchanging fans, right? Because they're still going to make the games for the most part with the ability to be put in other places. But they're just kind of taking the easy way out a lot of times. It isn't necessarily better for them. First party stuff, that's where it shines, right? Hellblade 2 is a first party game. God of War Ragnarok looks as good as it does because it's a first party game. That's what it's all about, right? If you go own these games, as you can make the most out of them. That's why Starfield's already looking so much better than the last time. Big Lou Ravens says you get way more value from Starfield than God of War. That could be subjective depending on what somebody's looking for in an experience. But for me, I agree with you. Like, for me, Starfield, you're going to have thousands of hours of gameplay, and you can play that game for a decade and keep doing different stuff and not do the same thing twice and have an amazing experience and not run out of it. Whereas God of War, you can play through it, get 100% trophy it, and be done with it, right? So, yeah, like, time value for sure. But emotional value or whatever, it depends on like what you're looking for, I guess. Sup Kylie, how's it going? Chipmunk, how's it going? Chipmunk says, hey Mav, would you rather get a game day one on an Xbox with PS with no Game Pass deal, or 6 months late but on Game Pass day one? Ooh, that's a good question. Let me read this again because I want to make sure I get it right. He says, "Hey Mav, would you rather get a game day one on Xbox with PS with no Game Pass deal, or 6 months late but on Game Pass day one? Would the game still launch on PlayStation 6 months earlier and then Xbox 6 months later on Game Pass day one, or would they both be pushed back 6 months, Chipmunk?" That's my question to you right now. And your question, would it be Sony first, then Xbox for the Game Pass deal, or both of them together but 6 months later? 6 months early for Sony. That's a very interesting question. Personally, I think I would rather have the game launch day and date on both platforms. But the thing is, when Xbox does these marketing deals with companies and they do Game Pass deals, they don't restrict them from launching on PlayStation day one usually. Like, these games can usually go wherever and still hit Game Pass day one. But if you're asking me, would I rather wait 6 months just to get the game in Game Pass? And I think it's and let me tell you why. It's not because I don't see the value in having it in Game Pass day one. It's because I think you're doing a disservice to the game, because there's something that happens when you release a game with timed exclusivity. There's like a window of excitement and hype where the game it takes off, and like the conversation is about the game out there in the gaming space, right? The game comes out, everybody's hyped about it, everybody's talking about it, right? And that lasts for a while, depending on the game. Like for Elden Ring, it lasted a long time. Some games, it may last 2 weeks, right? If you release a game exclusive on a platform, that's where the bulk of the sales happen originally, right? You get that like huge amount of, yeah, you're saying FOMO, right? And everybody's like, yeah, let's get it. Yeah, let's chime in, and we can all be part of the conversation. We can all play together and all that kind of stuff, right? And then other games come out and people kind of move on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And then, yeah, maybe that game comes out later and hits Game Pass. Like, cool, you're gonna have people dive in and try it that may have never tried it before, but for the most part, that conversation has already left the building, right? So for me, it's still better to have the game hit day and date on both platforms, but I don't think that has to be a one or the other scenario. For me, the best bet is if they do a marketing deal with the Xbox and a Game Pass deal with Xbox instead of a exclusivity agreement with PlayStation. Most of like PlayStation's deals they're making are trying to pay in money hat games to keep off of other platforms. There was like 4 games that Microsoft made an example of recently that are like that, right? Like Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy 16. I think they're doing it. I think Square is doing a disservice to Final Fantasy 16, right? They're gonna have less people play the game because of your deal, right? Um, that's the way Sony wants to do things because they're still trying to lead as the hardware is the ecosystem, right? Their PS5 is the ecosystem, and they want more and more reasons for people to buy a PS5. Xbox is like Game Pass, and their library and their storefront is the ecosystem, and the console is just one of the places you can play it. My favorite place to play it is on the console, but for some people, their favorite place to play might be a PC. But Xbox is still putting those games out there on PC day and date, and with cross play, cross progression. Like Redfall is going to have cross play and stuff between Steam and Epic as well as Xbox, right? So you're having multiple ecosystems all taking part and becoming kind of one ecosystem, right? The Game Pass and the Xbox is making that decision to have these games in all these different places. So, and that's a first party game. So if I'm Square, what I'm looking at is like, okay, I can take this money up front. It might be a little bit more money than what Xbox is offering. But like we take this PlayStation money, big check. Yeah, let's go. But that deal prevents me from releasing a game ever on another platform potentially. or for at least a long time, where that's hurting my longevity of sales. That's hurting my total amount of sales. It's hurting the amount of players that are going to have access to my brand. It's hurting the amount of people that will talk about our game. It's hurting the amount of people that will have a chance to try it that never had before. So what happens over time, your brand is smaller than it was before. Games like Elden Ring and Hogwarts Legacy, they're so popular because they're everywhere. Call of Duty, so popular because they're everywhere, right? You limit things, it becomes associated with Xbox or PlayStation, whatever exclusives they have. It's good for the platform holder more than it is the publisher that's doing those deals. So with Xbox as a third-party publisher, you can have the best of both worlds. You can actually do a deal with Xbox, put your game in Game Pass. Xbox is still going to market it for you. You're still going to get sales on Xbox. Plus, you're also going to be able to sell on PlayStation, sell on Steam, sell on Epic, sell wherever you want to, and you still get some money up front. Or whatever licensing deal they agree to, right? So for me, the more users that are in Game Pass, that becomes the more attractive option. And it's going to end up costing Sony more and more money to do those exclusivity deals because it makes less and less sense for these third-party publishers. And this may be one reason why PlayStation's freaking out over the ABK deal. Because they have relied so much on the money coming in from all these microtransactions and monetization from games like Call of Duty. When if they become associated now with Xbox, if they even have like a 5-6% swing in market share, if more players start spending more money on Call of Duty than they start spending on PlayStation, or even if that percentage drops, that's going to hurt Sony's model because they rely so much on these third-party deals to fund their ecosystem, right? So that's one reason they're freaking out. But like that's another reason why Sony's all of a sudden making 10 live service games, because they need that cash flow coming in, because their games that they primarily have made, their big single-player action adventure third-person games, they don't like. That's not going to be enough for them to sustain the big business that they have, right? So I think Sony needs to evolve over time. They're getting there, but this is what competition breeds, right? It breeds innovation. We wouldn't have Game Pass. We wouldn't have Xbox in the position in this year what we're getting in 2023 without the dominance of PlayStation, right? Like PlayStation's been kicking their ass for so long that Xbox had to find another way. They had to innovate. They had to do different stuff. And guess what? It's taken off. Already this generation compared to last generation has had about a 9% swing in hardware. That's just in hardware, where as in PlayStation, hardware is everything. Within Xbox, it's just one thing, right? So that's a big deal for Sony. And it's going, if that increases even more because of a Call of Duty deal, they're shaking in their boots because they don't have those games that make a lot of money for them, like continuously, except for these third-party deals, right? That's why they do so many third-party deals, because the third-party companies are making the games that make them money. They may get a lot of sales up front on God of War, but they're like going to make some profit on it, but it's not going to drive the growth for PlayStation like Game Pass is for Xbox. So I think PlayStation needs to evolve, and they have been saying this for a while. They need to not wait long, because if they don't, it could be too late at some point. Like, I'm not trying to be a doomsday scenario guy there. I think PlayStation is going to be fine because they are doing it. And they're just lying to the fan base saying they aren't doing it while they're doing it, which is funny. Tommy says games that release in Game Pass don't even make MPD list. Let me ask you, why does that matter? Why does that matter if a game that releases in Game Pass doesn't make MPD? Like, do you like like a part of, I see this a lot. Well, games in Game Pass don't sell. No shit, they're in a subscription service. People subscribe and pay monthly for access to that game. Microsoft is still making money. Like, Microsoft's making a lot of money. They're making more and more money every month. They're still getting more and more subscribers into Game Pass. So why does it matter if those games are in NPD? The developers got paid. They still sell games. And they still sell games on other platforms. So with the amount of income you have coming in from Game Pass, that's where you're making your money. It doesn't, the games industry has changed. Like, it's like an old way of thinking about things, right? Like, if I'm watching The Last of Us on HBO Max right now, I'm not wondering how many episodes got sold. Like, oh my God, it's a disaster scenario, because if we look at the charts on NPD for TV episodes, Last of Us isn't charting for amount of sales. Who, like, that's, why would anybody care about that? Like who cares about the NPD numbers when a developer's getting paid up front for their games to be in a subscription service? More people are playing the game. Like, more people are actually playing the game. I guarantee you, more people are going to play Starfield than there's going to be Spider-Man 2. And guess what? Also, Starfield's going to generate a lot of subscribers in the Game Pass. And guess what? Those subscribers, a lot of them are going to stick around. And we know this because Game Pass numbers have not ever gone down. Gone up, 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 up. So they're retaining their users. They're retaining their users. So people say, well, it's just $1 deals and stuff. No, they're retaining their users. Like, they're literally growing every month with Game Pass. And that was without a year like 2023. That was without a year like 2023 when we're getting all these games. So you want to talk about even retaining more and even getting more subscribers? Shit, I'll take a guaranteed monthly revenue other than the off chance that my game's going to sell or not. That's the beauty of Game Pass. You're taking the pressure off the devs, taking the pressure off of publishers, you're taking pressure off anybody. Microsoft's fronting that bill, and they're taking the chances on it that it's going to sustain their business. And whether you care or not that Microsoft is successful over their revenue stream, it's just like, why? Why would you care? It's a huge corporation that's like, they were last year $2 trillion. They're like 1 point something right now. The tech industries all took a huge hit. It's like well over $1 trillion company, and we're worried about their money. How many devs have to come out and say that they love Game Pass and being in Game Pass for people to understand that they actually like getting that check and that insurance and that comfort, while still also it's free marketing for them? If you have a few million people play your game beforehand, you never would have had even a chance at getting that many people. You know how many people that is that talk about your game all of a sudden? How many people might all of a sudden buy it? That's why we don't see as many like huge AAA first-party game or third-party games come, because they know they're going to get their sales, right? So it doesn't make sense for every game, right? And that's fine. That's completely fine. But like to try and throw numbers out there like, well, the games don't get NPD. Like, fuck, the devs got paid. Game Pass is driving engagement for the users and for the publishers, and they keep saying how happy they are with it. And you want to talk about an example of this, right? When Square just recently had their reports coming out when they talked about Forspoken being a disappointment and the other games and stuff. And they talk about, potentially ousting their executive and replacing them with another. Guess which game sold more than the recent exclusives that they had? Outriders. Outriders was more successful for Square than these recent exclusives from Square. That was in their own report. So, are we going to blame Game Pass for that too? Like, I don't understand. And Outriders, it's still not a huge success, but it's more successful than the exclusives they've done with Sony so far. That's for damn sure. Power Wash Simulator hit Game Pass. Look what it did for that game. Just saying. Like, you got to look at what's driving the engagement of the brands and stuff. Like, whether people like it or not, like, subscription services is the future of entertainment. It's already overtaken music. It's already overtaken TV. It's taking over movies as well. And it's taking over games. Microsoft was just the first at bat. Microsoft was just the first to lead the way with it. These other companies are trying to play catch up. And will they? Yeah. They'll play catch up. They'll exist. Netflix was the first. What do we got? We still got Disney Plus. We got HBO Max. We got Amazon Prime Video. We got Hulu. Paramount Plus, Discovery Plus. I mean, shit. There's like 30 different subscription services out there, and there's a lot of competition in the streaming space. There will be a lot of competition in the game streaming space and the game subscription space in the future. But one usually takes off to show the proof in the pudding first that it can be a successful model before the other businesses jump in. This is why people have compared Game Pass to the Netflix of gaming, right? The difference is the key aspect to Game Pass is you can still buy your games through the service. So that is what it is. People in the chat want Outriders too. Yeah, I don't blame you. Outriders is a pretty cool game. I have thought about like getting back into it, but there's so many games to play. Like, it's just outrageous. This year is it's unrelentless. Or it's relentless. Yeah, sorry. Relentless. This year is relentless with the amount of stuff to play. I mean, and you have another beauty with games today. Like, if a game like keeps getting updated, they just keep getting better. Like, Battlefield 2042 is fucking awesome now, right? I liked it from the start. I know a lot of people didn't, but the player base is coming back. Halo Infinite's getting better, right? And more people are coming back to play. So even games that came out or may have not had a lot of success, if the companies are committed to them, has a chance to keep growing and sticking around for a long time. Asante says, it's funny, Netflix was the first sub-service, but if you remember, they were given that model by Xbox. The first Netflix app was created by Microsoft for 360, and Netflix wasn't convinced it would work. Yeah, that's a good point. Tommy says, players and sales are not the same, so stop it with that. Did I say that sales and players are the same thing? Money is the same. Regardless if the money comes from a subscription deal or MPD sales, does that matter? It matters to you, but does it matter to the publisher? If a publisher makes this amount of money for sales, and they make this amount of money because of Game Pass, but they're not in the MPD, which would they rather have? I'll still take this amount of money. It doesn't, yeah, it's not the same. Money is dollars, right? Like, money is money. It's all green, baby. Right? Like these publishers, what they want to make is money. They don't care about showing up in some list. They want to get paid. I know, Def. You can't argue with them. It's like a move the goalpost, try and make up different reasons why things are what like can't be what they are, and it's a tale as old as time, right? It is what it is. Handsomely Hung says if Sony tries anything outside of third-person game, they will fail. We'll see. I mean, they have Bungie now. I mean, Bungie's next game is going to be huge. Whatever Bungie makes next, we don't know what it is, but it'll be big. Like, Bungie's next game is going to be big, and Sony owns Bungie now, right? So I'll give them credit for that when it comes out, just like we give credit for Microsoft for Starfield, right? Bungie's next game will be a massive hit. Bungie's changed the gaming industry twice. They changed it with Halo, and they've changed it with Destiny. The next game, we'll see if they can have a trifecta. I don't know. It's a lot to live up to. Destiny and Halo. But the next game they have, we'll see. We'll see what they do. Sky L says, tired of ponies coming to Xbox streams. Don't you have Forspoken to play? Apparently not, because not a lot of people bought it. But Psycho says, give me a subscription service over game sales. And that's the other aspect to this as well, is as a consumer, why are we rooting for the companies to chart in some chart instead of getting access to more games for less dollars for us? Why is there an audience out there? Why is there a group of people out there like hoping to pay more? Why is there a group of people saying that it's better to have to pay more for my games because it puts them on a list? Well, but if we have to buy the games, they get to make a list. They get to make a list that gets put out there, and it makes them look good. As a consumer, for you and your own money and your own value of what you're getting, why is it more important for a company to make a list than you to get more games for your dollar? I don't care, honestly, who wins or succeeds with the publishers. I can make a million cases why they do the Game Pass deals, because obviously they do it because it's good for them, right? Like that nobody's putting a gun to their head, right? Saying, hey man, you're gonna put this game in Game Pass, motherfucker, but you know what? You're not gonna make that NPD and you're gonna take it. Nobody's saying, hey, bitch, listen, do the deal. Nobody's doing that. They're choosing to because it makes more sense for them in their game. So if it's a win for the developers, it's a win for the publishers. Why do I care that I get to spend less? That makes absolutely zero sense. Like, hey, let me pay more, please. I just want to pay. Like, I don't want ability for people to have access to all these games for this low dollar amount per month. It's just too good. We can't have this. We got to put an end to it. Everybody needs to pay $70 because that's what I want to do. That's just weird. K Sunday says some PlayStation gamers have debated them, say Sony's models equals quality games. So until they see the same quality games on Xbox, they don't believe Microsoft model will work. Well, that's also a very subjective thing, depending on the kind of games. Like, again, Xbox in 2021 was the highest rated publisher in gaming that year. They had a lot of releases, and their games rated higher than any other publisher. So if the quality metric is on game score, then Xbox is actually winning still. You had another hit with Hi-Fi Rush this year, and you're gonna have more this year coming. Redfall and Starfield and Forza Motorsport is bound to be really highly rated. Starfield is gonna be huge, probably really critically received well. Plus also sell like crazy. Plus also be in Game Pass. So all of these things can be true at the same time. When it comes down to it, Asante, I think what they deem as quality is actually genre. Does Sony make great games? Yeah, they do. Like they make great games. Does that mean they're for everybody? No, there's a lot of people that aren't as into those kind of games, right? Making a specific style that is visually great, plus also has a good story and a beginning and end and all that stuff. It's fantastic, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's better than something like Starfield or Deathloop or whatever. You know, I mean, it's just a personal taste thing. So it is what it is. Yeah, but I get that. I get what you're saying. Like, Xbox has been hitting on the quality, and they're going to continue to. But it just may not have the game that you want to play. And if that's the case, then there's other options. That's why there's more than one platform, right? Personally, like if you want to talk about success and delivering on quality and stuff out there, it doesn't seem to really matter to Nintendo gamers. Nintendo is one of the most popular platforms out there by far. You know, that like sales of the Switch are just astronomical still. And they're playing on a potato device that can only hit certain levels of fidelity and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, but the games don't have bugs. Like, if that's the end all be all for success, then Nintendo doesn't count. Yeah, I hear you, Joanna. Nintendo is always seal of quality, right? To an extent. They make great video games, but they don't hold up caliber wise to like when they talk about what a lot of people perceive as quality with what the PlayStation gamer may perceive as quality, as like this super amazing graphics and great story and stuff like that. And like they don't, so Nintendo ain't anywhere near that bar. They can't be, you know. No knock against what the games they make. I love Nintendo style games, but their hardware is holding them back from even being able to be in that conversation. Right? Like it just is what it is. So like if you talk about, well, they gotta hit that bar of quality. Well, like what about Nintendo? Right? K-Sante says Nintendo makes great games for my Steam Deck. Broken Pokemon selling 20 million, Skyel says. The hardware is printing money, 100%. Yeah, I get you, Joanna, but you're making my point also. That is subjective, as games have different art styles, and I have loved games that look 16-bit versus anything I currently play. Yeah, that's fine, right? So that's what I'm trying to say. If you're gonna have that conversation about Xbox, then why not have that conversation about Nintendo? It's all subjective over what you prefer. If you like playing 720p games at 20 frames per second, that's great. Then you get a Nintendo. But the games are going to be bug free for the most part, except for Pokemon. And they're going to look really pretty with a different art style, right? Because that's what they do to make it look good. You know, that's fine. You know, like it is what it is. And a lot of people like it. For me, I'm not into that anymore. So that's my subjective take. You know, PlayStation has a certain pillar of quality that they have with their first person action or third person action adventure games. But that's not the end all be all for gaming. Like it just depends on what the person prefers. right? And the gamer. And there's a lot of subscribers in the Game Pass that like this model and like the games that are hitting the service. And this year is going to be even more, right? So it's always subjective, but like for PlayStation gamers to like attack Xbox for like quality bar because of like graphics and stuff like that, and then exclude Nintendo from the conversation is like very disingenuous, right? Like it's like they don't even count. So maybe the regulators are like right. You know what I mean? Yeah, Nintendo games still have that look from when you was a youngster understanding. Yeah, I remember back in the day when we all like were talking about, man, one day Zelda, what is it going to look like? Oh, it's going to be so cool. It's going to be amazing. Zelda, like they remember like the Unreal like Zelda demos that came out and stuff like that, like the videos that would come out with like a real looking like next level type Zelda thing, or like, and then Mario stuff would come out like that. It was like, whoa, Nintendo's going to be crazy. They're like, no, Nintendo's still the same as it was, just a little bit better, right? And that's fine. Yeah, join us as I think they're saying that only games that fit the Sony template equals the best in quality is sort of disrespect the games. 100%. That's exactly what I'm saying. And you know how I feel about the Switch, Joanna, but I understand there's like 100 million plus people out there that think differently, right? And I completely respect that. Like, it is what it is. I'm going to still speak my truth because I want different from them, right? But that I don't say that their games are bad, right? Like I can't like that's what people try and throw at Xbox as shade. I just don't get it. Caslante says I think Nintendo's been smart to focus on a different fan base, and they stopped pushing the tech a while back because they saw that competing with Sony and Microsoft was a mistake, and they were right. Yeah, they've carved out their niche. I think that they're missing the big third party stuff and the money that they could be making from some of that as well, though. So I'm wondering if this next Nintendo device might be more capable of these things, like Microsoft saying they want to put Call of Duty on Nintendo, right? That'll make them a lot of money. So I feel like Nintendo is missing some aspects there because of the limitations of the hardware. That's kind of put them in a little bit of a box, right? Where it's succeeded for them, it's also has been at some levels a detriment to what they can be, right? Because I think if they had more powerful hardware, they could still make the same kind of games they're making, but also they can also have others as well, right? And even the games that they're making, maybe they could even look a little bit better or have better performance or better resolution, all that kind of stuff. And that's why we're gonna get a new Nintendo device at some point. It's just I wish it was sooner than later. Tom says out of an install base of in the generations are easily to 100 million plus range. Yeah. Skyle says Nintendo should make an open world Starfield competitor. I was joking about this kind of like last night with we were talking about that like Star Fox would make an amazing like open world style like fly around to different planets type game. I would be all over that shit. Understanding 77 says all games are technically for kids, but Nintendo is really for kids. I wouldn't say all games are technically for kids. There's definitely a lot of games that aren't for kids, for sure. A lot of games that aren't for kids are actually on Switch. There's also a lot of games on Xbox that aren't for kids and PlayStation that aren't for kids, right? But I think that adults like. And there was a guy that said like, if you're an adult, what are you doing wasting your time playing games? Don't you have goals? They said that on Twitter. They got absolutely destroyed on Twitter. Like the whole notion of like games being for kids, I think it has to die, right? I would say the Switch is more of a kid-friendly platform for the most part, but not just because of the games that they have, but because of the portability of it, right? Like I just think it makes it more easy for parents to get, and they can keep the kids busy in the car, as well as, and then they take it home, they put it on the dock, they play on their TV. It's like it's a good console for kids. But there's a lot of adults that love the Switch too, and there's nothing wrong with that for sure. I guess there's far more real adult games sold on Switch than on Xbox or Sony. Yeah, that's for sure. Right. Royale Boyle 78 says, one thing I'm pissed off about, Microsoft is so well off. I paid $400 for my 2 terabyte expansion SSD for my Xbox Series X when it first came out, and it's still $400 and still out of memory. Scared what a 4 terabyte may cost. This is a big sticking point right now, and early on this channel, and I was wrong about this as well as many other people were. I liked Xbox's model with the storage, and at the time they had said it was a timed thing with the licensing for Seagate, and that after a certain amount of time, they were going to have more options for storage. Well, we're over 2 years into the generation, and it's still a thing. Now, not only is it still a thing, the price has not gone down on the storage whatsoever. Plus, there's also no other storage options from any other third-party licensors or third-party companies releasing storage cards for Xbox. So this is a big mistake right now with Xbox. Now, can it still be resolved? Yes, but I was really critical over PlayStation's model because I thought it was ridiculous having to like open up the port and like stick a like SSD at the time. They didn't even exist yet when the console came out. You had to wait for it, right? And they didn't have the support for it right away. I was like, that's stupid, you know? But right now, that's way better than what PlayStation has. Like, because you can afford it. And that's the big sticking point here. Being able to actually afford to be able to expand the storage on your console is good. Now, of course, there's other ways of doing things. You can have like a big ass SSD that's not a next gen standards to Xbox, and you can still move games back and forth. That's really fast, you know, for less money. But to have that dedicated storage that automatically will run the games, it's expensive, right? It is what it is right now. I hope they get that resolved. Jez Corden from Windows Central just had an article about it. So it's just way overpriced. It's asinine, in my opinion, but it is what it is. Yeah, the storage system is cool, but they really need to push the prices down. Yeah, I love the expansion card. I got one here on my Xbox Series X, and I love it. It's just like you just plug it in immediately, bam, it's there, right? But holy shit, that stuff is expensive. So Tony says, yeah, I have 22 terabytes hooked up to your Series X. That's what I'm talking about. Like, there's other options, but I would still rather have that like automatic it works scenario. You know, I got so many games. Like, I could bring up my games here. Like, I have over 1,000 games. Like, I have 35 games installed. I have about 226 gigs free, so I can install probably about like 4 or 5 more decent sized games on this console, and have like 40 games. That's with an expansion card. That's with a 1 terabyte expansion, right? So you could have about 40 games installed. So like we cut that in over half though, because you know the operating system takes up. I think it's like 700 something you get out of the box, free space to use. You could probably fit around like 17 decent size. I mean, a lot of these games are smaller too. Like I have like Escape Academy on here. I have like Fall Guys. Yeah, so not all games are the same. Multiverses of why the hell do I have that installed still? I need to uninstall that shit. I have like Power Wash Simulator. You know, some games are small, right? They're not going to take up as much space. But when you get these games that are like 100 gigs, they're the big games that come out, like the big exciting AAA stuff. I gotta constantly uninstall that shit. When I reinstalled Battlefield 2042, it was like another 86 gigs or something after the content and everything it had. Call of Duty, I don't even know how big it is now. Let me see how big Call of Duty is. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 takes up 158.6 gigs on my hard drive, which is an improvement over the last one. That was like in the 200s. That was ridiculous, right? But still 156 gigs. It's fucking crazy. NBA 2K, I uninstalled it recently, but it was like around that, like 120, something like that. See, Need for Speed Unbound. Somehow they got that at 32 gigs. That's good. Let's see what else is big here. What other big size games we got? How big is Assassin's Creed Valhalla? 111 gigabytes for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Fucking crazy. Far Cry 6, 127.2 gigabytes. The Why So Serious is 2K23 is 180 gigs, right? Far Cry 6 is 127.2 gigs. Hogwarts Legacy is even 77. I mean, this shit adds up. Midnight Suns is under 50. That's not bad. Let's see, what's Atomic Heart? I'm going to guess it's not a crazy. Oh, 76 gigs for Atomic Heart. I mean, shit. Like, it's more rare to get a game under 50 gigs, I feel like, these days. For a big game than it is over 50. When you get like a 70s, 80s, 90, 100, 110, 120, it's just fucking crazy. It's just like, just too much for the amount of space. You can only, if each game was 120 something, you'd only be able to fit like 5 on a Series X, right? How much is the MCC? I don't know. I'm not sure. There's a lot of I don't have MCC installed right now. I don't think I do. Yeah, no, I don't. The cool thing about MCC though, even with the optimization update on Series X, Master Chief Collection will still run off of a external hard drive. It's one of the few games that doesn't require it to be installed for a Series X game on the internal or on a storage expansion card. So that's the one thing that's a shining light for that. But yeah, I got between 2 terabytes. I got 34 games, and a lot of these are smaller games like Curse of the Dead Gods, Cult of the Lamb is on here as well. Hi-Fi Rush is probably pretty small, 16 gigs. Yeah. Flight Sim is 145. Holy shit. 145 gigs for Flight Sim. I expect that though. Like, I get it. That's one game I completely understand. Sky says, I doubt Starfield will be more than 150 gigabytes. That's a good question. How big do we think Starfield will be? Size-wise and gigabytes. Will it be over 150 gigs? I'm going to put a poll in the chat. Well, I'm going to say, that's a little high. I'm going to say 130. Because that's big. Anything over 130 is huge, right? Will Starfield be over 130 gigabytes? I put the poll out there. I mean, Flight Sim is 100 and what did we say? 145. Trying to think, what's a good comparison? I mean, it's 1,000 planets. 1,000 planets, everybody. Far Cry 6 is 127. Call of Duty is 158. Flight Sim is 145. Halo Infinite comes in at a measly 73.9. Sounds like not a lot when it comes to size now, right? When you start throwing out 120, 130, 140s, 150s. Hogwarts Legacy was a big game that just came out. It's at 77 gigs. Jasper wants to know Fallout 76's size. I could look it up. I don't have it installed right now. I'm going to look it up. Fallout 76. Now it depends on, I guess, what all you have too for it. Because it has a lot of like added on content you can get. But Okay, so Fallout 76. 80 gigabytes. Fallout 76 is 80. Punty says at 1,000 planets, it could grow to 1 terabyte, especially if mods are allowed on a console, but otherwise 250, 300 gigabytes is what I'm expecting. Holy shit. If Starfield is 250 to 300 gigs, that will make a lot of news. That will make a lot of news. That would be like crazy. I don't think it's anywhere near that. It can't be, right? If BigMADMoe says if they optimize it right, it shouldn't be that much. Susa says this is the only time where size matters, right? Well, it depends on who you ask, I guess. It depends on what you think, most of all, bro. That's what I'll say. Most of all depends on how you feel about it. Punty says, okay, watch. Maybe, I don't know, man. Case on it says it won't be bigger than Flight Sim. Jasper says he's guessing 117. Def Leopard says 82. Skyle says base game won't be over 200. Let's see. Royal Boyle says 180. Yeah, well, the Series S too doesn't have to worry about 4K, so the sizes are smaller usually for Series S. I would anticipate the Series S size being at least 40%, 30 to 40% smaller, maybe even more. A lot of these games that I've not seen sizes for have a lot smaller sizes on a Series S. Punty says it won't be less than 175 gigabytes at the very least. Okay. Susan says, you think if Starfield only runs at 30 on Series S, that's a fail? Series S is the budget console. So, I mean, I would hope they can do a performance mode on it. But I will say that, like, the Series X is, like, for that premium experience is what you should be paying for. So I'll say no. Honestly. Like, I would like it to. For everybody that has a Series S, but you know, it's like it should still be able to hit it because it's mostly resolution. I think between the two consoles that affects, but if it can't hit it, I don't know. Like maybe they would have to drop the resolution too low. Like who knows what the resolution will be on the 60 frames mode on the Series X, right? Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. BigMADMoe says all first-party titles will have standard 4K 60. I know they've talked about that, but I think they said that before they bought ZeniMax Bethesda. So, I don't know. Can they? What if, like, the ambition of the game for Starfield was just like nothing they had ever planned on at the time? Yeah, but they also have foot and mouth disease. Yeah, they do. The Series S does run games at 120 frames per second right now, but like the Starfield's a different beast. It's like it's huge, ambitious, massive world. Like Bethesda games usually, not every time, but usually they're known not for being the most optimized, right? Now this does help being able to concentrate it on the Xbox ecosystem. But Todd is a fan of 30. We have to remember that. I think it's going to hit 60 on Series X. Is it going to 100% do Series S at 60? I don't know. Will it be a fail if they don't? Maybe. For some, we'll see it that way. For me personally, not. Because when I buy a Series S, I'm not expecting to get the same performance and quality that I get out of a Series X. Right? But I'm still expecting to play great games with good fidelity. Right? Like, so it would be amazing, and I'd be so happy if it does, though. I just don't know, man. And we were all questioning if it's going to be able to hit 60 on Series X not too long ago. I'm gonna end this poll. 56% of you, 56% said, man, where's the result? There it goes. It said yes, it'll be bigger than 130. I think it will too. I think it'll be just over that. I'm thinking like 135. Something like that. Klain says Series S, maybe 720 FSR to 900p at 60 frames for performance mode. Okay, I can live with that. Punty says when Starfield comes out, Xbox will secretly drop the price of the 2 terabyte drive and come out with a 4 terabyte drive also. I don't think so, because I don't think they have. Xbox doesn't have control over that unless they get some other kind of solution. Because like Seagate's the ones with the jacked up prices. Unfaithful Billy says 265 gigs. That is massive. Holy shit. I hope to God it's not that big. Because, man, my space on my console, I'm already having to cringe at deleting certain things at times. Like, I hate deleting games because I always like the option to be able to quickly dive back into one. And, like, when a game's that big, it takes other things away. But you know what? The honesty is I'll be playing a lot of Starfield anyway. So, will it matter too much? I don't know. 1080 on 60 on Series S is fine. What are we expecting the performance at 60 to be on Starfield for Xbox Series X? 1440? Yeah, I can play a lot of things through the cloud, Chris, but like, you know, I want that optimized, most badass experience when I'm on my console. RWK88 says, do I have good fiber over here? Well, we built our house in 2018. And when we moved in, we found out that the company that ran new fiber lines in our town had been bought out by Frontier, and they were no longer running new lines. So it used to be Verizon Fios, and then I guess Frontier bought the rights to all the lines and to manage all the lines in our town, and they decided they're not adding new lines to it at all. So they didn't put Fios in our brand new neighborhood, which was like I'm like literally like 3 minutes away from their headquarters. So frustrating. So fucking frustrating. But we can't get Fios here. We can't get fiber. I have cable internet. I have a gigabit internet connection with cable. The thing that hurts with not having fiber is the upload. If I had fiber, the upload would be way better. But it is what it is. Hawaii Series says, is Starfield coming to Switch? Maybe in like 10 years it'll be on whatever Nintendo devices. I have no idea. KS Lantis says, you two, I had Verizon and Frontier bought them out. I hate Frontier. Yeah, everybody here hated Frontier when it happened. My dad had Verizon and it got out Frontier and they had a lot of problems. But the main issue I had is like, run the damn new lines in your neighborhood so we can get your service, right? I want fiber. It won't even, I don't even get the option. We only have one option for internet here, unless I get like, you know, like cellular network Wi-Fi, broadband. You know, upload's terrible on Frontier. I didn't know that. But yeah, on cable the upload sucks. I mean, it's like 25 to 30 gig, like or mega whatever. On the upload. And I get 1 gig down, like 25 to 30 megabit upload and like a gig down. But with my house too, it's like all this stuff going on that like it kind of limits my. By the time it gets to my console, I'm getting like 500-600 max, and stuff like that. Man, This chat's been amazing tonight, guys. If you like the content here, hit the like button, share it out, sub to the channel. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for hanging out in another impromptu Sunday night stream. Just hanging out, talking Xbox. Talking Xbox is amazing 2023. I got a question here. How big do we think Redfall will be? Like, and hear me out on this, right? They have spared no expense on marketing for Redfall so far, putting that behind closed doors, like a streamer, like YouTube creator / media event together, paying for the flights, flying people to their event, doing behind the scenes stuff. We've seen lots of Redfall so far. We're about to see even more this coming week. I think they're all able to share their stuff on the 17th. It's when we're going to start to get information on what all took place there. We have a marketing train heading into May. This is Arcane's first multiplayer, real big launch title that's going to be hitting Game Pass day one. Also, a multiplayer focus title that's hitting Game Pass day one. Still a single player experience if you want to play it that way, but also co-op. And Arcane's talked about this, like they're going to be nervous because they've never had a game launch where this many people are going to have access to try it. Like they've never been behind the face of a brand before, like Xbox, right? So when Redfall comes out, it's going to be a big deal. There's going to be a lot of hype in the Xbox community. There's going to be people wanting to play it on Steam. There's going to be people playing it on Epic. There's going to be people playing it on the cloud. There's going to be people playing it everywhere, right? Arcane's never had that before. You know, I mean, they've had the games that are all multi-plat, but like they've always been like you have to pay like $60 for it, right? And they haven't had a platform like Game Pass to push it, right? And they haven't also had this multiplayer type thing that's going to also drive people to get other people to want to play with them and stuff like that. So like Redfall for me, I feel like is like still under the radar because it's a new IP. Arcane isn't like Arcane's been a critical darling, but their games haven't like sold like crazy, right? I think Redfall is going to be potentially the surprise hit of the year. Like if they release this game and it hits on the same level of quality that the other Arcane games do, but they're also able to implement that interesting multiplayer co-op that they have going for it, and with the accessibility that Game Pass has, like I think Redfall has a lot of potential. And even if it's in the 80s or something with reviews or whatever, like low 80s, it doesn't matter to me. Like this could still be like the biggest game by far for them. And maybe we know Forza Motorsport's going to do crazy numbers because Forza Horizon 5 did. But maybe this will be like just like another pillar franchise, right? Redfall could become a massive thing for Xbox. Maybe it won't. It could come out. People don't like it. People complain about it. Whatever. Like maybe it's not for everybody. But what we've been seeing with Redfall so far, it keeps looking better and better and more interesting. Like I don't know. Like Fifth Horseman, you're saying you're not into it as much. Like said you're sorry you have to say it, but from what we've seen from Redfall, enemy assets and AI behavior look low grade. I hope when the NDAs drop, we get to see something better on the 22nd. I think we're gonna get to see more like just actual gameplay, probably from like these creators and stuff. I hope. Maybe they were allowed to record stuff, you know. Oh, what's up, Talos? How's it going? I think Redfall could be a massive surprise hit. Like, here's the thing. Imagine this, right? We've already had a hit with Hi-Fi Rush. It's not like the most popular thing in the world because of the kind of genre it's in, but it well exceeded their expectations. I mean, like John Johannes and like those teams over there at Tango were just over the moon with the reviews, with the amount of people that were playing the game, everything. They were just so happy, right? So Hi-Fi Rush hit. Age of Empires 2 came out to console, and there was massive praise for the way it was implemented to Xbox, and lots of people getting into it, right? I've been playing a lot of it, multiplayer with a lot of our friends, Psycho, Jasper, Pong. Been amazing. So that's 2 hits, from my opinion, so far for console releases. Then you have Minecraft Legends coming up. Don't know what that's going to be all about. Still, the last gameplay that we saw when that was at the Dev Direct, that caught my attention. Like, whoa, this is way bigger and cooler than I thought. It's a massive strategy style game. I'm into that. I'm going to play this game and try it. Minecraft Legends could be a sleeper hit, right? So you got Minecraft Legends. Then you have Redfall. Redfall could be a massive success. It could be. If they hit on all these things consecutively, and then we still have the big June with all these third parties and stuff, then you have Starfield to look forward to in September. I mean, holy shit. Yeah. And not to mention, yeah, you're right. Unfaithful Billy says Ghostwire. Ghostwire Tokyo's probably going to hit Game Pass later this month as well. Then we got these other Game Pass games like Exo Primal and like Lamplighters League that was just announced over at the Paradox show coming this year as well. Still more other publishers' games hitting the platform day one in the subscription service. Then you also have fucking Starfield to look forward to in September after this massive wave of all these games. And Forza Motorsport. Like, 2023 could shape up to be one of the biggest, most important years in Xbox's history. If they drop another one, if they actually do get Hellblade 2 out this year and it hits after all those other games, you're talking about a monster year. Monster. Huge. All the variety too is just insane. $15 a month, everybody. And some people act like they care about the NPDs. Like, I'll take this. Unfaithful Billy says Microsoft will probably let PS Plus have Ghostwire same day it comes to Game Pass. I think it's written in the contracts that were leaked before that PlayStation has to be able to do the same. So, I don't know. I keep seeing that pink face emoji in the chat. Is that your new thing, babe? I seen it from. Okay, Punty was using a different one before. What is that? What is the pink face? I can't tell what that is. Is that like a little like fuzzy creature crying? Talos says it's going to be a great year. Just oh, hold on, I missed it. Oh, the chat's moving so damn fast. It's gonna be great. Okay, it's gonna be a great year. Just hope my TV is working by then. Oh shit. Yeah, I hope your TV's working by then too. Damn. What does that one say? What does Chris Jones's say? I need to refresh my damn chat, I think, to see what's going on with these emojis. What is happening with this stuff? Are these like the new? Is this the YouTube emojis that y'all are using? I'm kidding. Y'all are like making me trip. I think it's a big fish face. Punty says. Okay, this is the first time I've ever used it. Okay. What is I can't read what that S. Septembros. Oh shit, Septembros. I love it. We're the Septembros now. Instead of Marchers. Septembros. Let's go, Septembros. Starfield, September. Bruh. Appreciate all the channel members out there showing off your emojis. You guys rock. it's been a crazy. I'm just we'll switch gears, talk a little bit about the channel for a minute though, because like I appreciate everybody here that watches stuff, and we've had a little bit of kickback this past week, right? Because we got a little critical of Xbox with the 12-month show again last year, and how I don't think it's a good idea and stuff anymore, But like the thing is, like that I appreciate from our community is even when we have like some people having a certain opinion and like disagree, whatever, you guys still show up and come back, and we have more awesome Xbox talk, right? Like, there's going to be a lot of times where that kind of happens. But, like, for the majority of the time, we're pretty damn positive, right? This whole stream been ranting and raving about how awesome Xbox is, right? But it's awesome to see, like, even throughout that, like, you guys show up. Like, this is an impromptu Sunday night stream. I'm just chilling, hanging out with you guys, right? Solo, which usually I solo stream quite a bit, but like most of our content's with our amazing panel members, because they're what really make us shine, in my opinion. Like the Psychonauts, and Pong Soul, and Jasper, and 3-Bit, my wife Caitlin, and Fuzzy. Anybody I miss, I'm sorry, but like all this group is like amazing. They help make us what we are, in my opinion, right? But for all you guys, over 100 people here hanging out on a Sunday night, it's 11:15 p.m. my time, so I know for a lot of you it's probably 12:15 or later, or whatever, to just chill, hang out, talk Xbox. It's fucking amazing. Appreciate it. Hit the like button again if you like the content. If you share it out, it greatly helps grow the channel as well, which we've had some good growth here the last like month or so. I think we're like 30 subs away from 3,000, like 30 something, right? Like I think we're like 35 or 38 subs away from 3,000, right? And for me, it's like when we started the channel, man, I had no fucking clue what to expect. But I don't know if I ever comprehended me sitting here hanging out, talking on a Sunday night at 12:15 for most of you guys, just shooting the shit about Xbox and having a blast because you guys rock. Jay Rembert, with a very generous $5 super chat, said, "We're all Xbox fans, but they're not above criticism." I agree with that. For me, it's like, if I love something, if I like really like into something, like, and I use a sports analogy a lot, fucking love the Mavericks. I'm a diehard. Like, I got fucking Mavericks hat on right here. I got my Mavericks jacket on here, right? But when they're not playing well right now, and I criticize them. I was at the Mavs game the other night, and I was sitting there being like, man, they got to do this, they got to do that, right? Like, and because I want them to succeed, right? It's more entertaining for me if they succeed, and I want, you know what I mean? Like, and fandom over a brand, some people can say that's crazy or not, but I'm a fan of Xbox because it gives me so much for my money and the value, and it has the games that I enjoy playing and all this stuff. Cases I criticize you. I do not. That is not true. Tuku Nagula says 6 a.m. over here. Birds are chirping and sun just came out. Right on, Tuku. Well, good morning, Tuku. I love the Mavs narcissistic much. No, Dallas Mavericks. Dallas Mavericks. So you guys all rock. Appreciate it. Faithful Billy says, I think Redfall marketing gave wrong first impressions. It'll take word of mouth to get it back on track. I think it'll be big. I think that the impressions have turned, and I think the early marketing really wasn't on them. I think it was just people putting out there that this was going to be another, like, what's the game? Left 4 Dead clone, right? A Back 4 Blood type game. I think like the energy and the conversations were out there that, oh, it's going to be like Back 4 Blood. But even early on, if people were paying attention, when the game, there was like early game footage that leaked when it was like still in development, and it was like rough because like it was like development footage and screenshots, was like, this game is more like a Borderlands, right? But for whatever reason, a lot of people just ignored everything the devs said. They ignored everything about it and just relied on the fact that they saw 4 people on a screen with guns. So when they saw 4 people on a screen with guns, they just immediately went to Left 4 Dead and Back 4 Blood, right? But like everything the devs said, everything out there from people that had seen the game and stuff was saying that's not what it is. So I think that the narrative was driven more not because of the marketing from Redfall. I think it was just blind assumption from people just because they saw 4 people with guns on a screen. Right? Like, and as it's gotten more where we've seen more of the game recently, like everybody that was still running with that narrative has now come to their senses and be like, oh, this isn't like that. Wow, that's good to hear. Well, we've been saying that for like ever since the game was announced. Like ever since the game was announced, we've been telling you this. It's not a Back 4 Blood game. It's not like a Left 4 Dead game. It's nothing like that whatsoever. The only common thing together with that is that you can have 4 players with guns on the screen playing together. But there's a lot of games where you can do that. You know, it's not everything's 1 for 1. This is an arcane game through and through. Story is very important to them. The experience, being able to play single player if you want to as well. It's more like a Borderlands type thing than anything like a Left 4 Dead. And I can't wait till we see on the 17th what all these creators and people that have seen and the media that have seen the game behind the closed door have to say about it, because we'll know even more then. Yeah, I think it's going to be big. Doc says get State of Decay vibes. State of Decay has a lot of that survival stuff, right? Third person and it's survival. I think could maybe some aspects because of the co-op there, you know. But we'll see. I think that their latest descriptions really like put it to bed. But this is going to be like an experience where you can kind of play how you want, but like they want that tension and the eerie feeling when you're playing. They want that story-based experience, the little bit of exploration, and being able to play with your friends is just a bonus, right? Def Leopard says, I wonder what's up with State of Decay 3. Interesting thing you said that, because recently just on Twitter, there was a picture taken from Aaron Greenberg and Matt Booty together. And I think the comment was like, it's awesome when you get to play a new a game demo of a game coming or whatever. And on the wall behind them was State of Decay posters. So Aaron Greenberg and Matt Booty, it seems like we're potentially just at Undead Labs checking out State of Decay 3. And if that's the case, that has me hyped, right? Because what if that's a 2024 game? What if they were getting the latest and greatest information on that to see how they're shaping up, to see, like, are they going to include it in their E3 show this year, right? I hope State of Decay 3 needs to come out polished for once to an extent, but I don't expect it to be like perfect. The good thing about the State of Decay is even though they've come out broken and buggy at launch and everything, they've kept updating them, and they do such a good job of support for those games. I think State of Decay 3 is going to go way bigger and farther than they've ever done before. Tom from Toonami hit us with an amazing $10 super chat. Dude, I appreciate that so much. And he says, I appreciate y'all and the content you put out, Mav. Been helping me a lot with some of the stuff I went through in the military. I'm really glad I found this channel, man. Dude, that reading that honestly gives me chills. Honestly, like to see anybody say something like it's brought something to their life is really important, because I mean, honestly, like you guys bring way more to my life, and like I know Kate feels the same way, than I feel like what we bring to you, right? And it's very like that's like I can't quantify it enough. Like to think when we started this and I told Kate that, hey, yeah, I'm gonna do the YouTube thing, I'm gonna start a channel and stuff, and she's like, go for it. And like, 'cause I wanted to do a podcast, right? I wanted to do a podcast, and it was like, I did never imagine like this YouTube aspect of it becoming what it is, because for me at the time, like podcasting was just like audio stuff. Like I put stuff on YouTube because it was another place to put the podcast. I didn't really know what was going to happen with it, but like I started doing live content to be able to get out more content to help push the podcast, right? And to like have this community, like, and become part of the community that I discovered on YouTube from all these other channels, all these amazing creators, and then more people like you come, and then you say something like that to me about what you brought to we brought to you. It's like flipped, man. It's like completely the other way around for me. It's like you guys, people like you, Tom, and are just like amazing. That's why I like sitting here shooting the shit with you guys on a Sunday night, because I like talking to you, right? It's amazing. I fucking love it. It was like being able to have this conversation with you guys is like an outlet to talk about games. It's all I've ever wanted to do. I talking with like my brother-in-laws or like family and stuff. They couldn't carry a conversation about games. You guys can, right? So thank you. Tony Grasso with a very generous $20 super chat says, I'll echo what Tommy Tunes said. Thank you, dude. Tony, amazing supporter of the channel for a long time, dude, as well. Absolutely appreciate you. Decado hitting us up with a 5 memberships. Appreciate that as well. I see you guys in there in the chat getting those gifteds, dude. Decado, Tony, Tom, you guys all fucking rock. Amazing. I see Spooky's like going through some health stuff right now, and he got gifted a membership too. So shout out to Spooky out there. Appreciate everybody here, man. Tony, thank you again. That's so more than generous. And yeah, Tom, that comment means a lot. You have no idea. But yeah, like let's get back to some conversation. Like, as big as Redfall is gonna be, like, I think it's gonna be big. For me, like the other thing I think about is Forza Motorsport, right? Now, to put this into perspective, right? We got used to the cadence for Forza. It became, ever since it had launched, Forza Motorsport was a game since the original Xbox time that had released every other year, right? Every other year we got a Forza Motorsport. Then Playground Games got involved. No, you're fine, Tom. I'm sorry, dude, but that, you know, that comment really is meant a lot. I appreciate it. We got Playground involved, right? So Playground brought in Horizon. So then we had the cadence. Every year there's a Forza game. Forza Motorsport, Forza Horizon, Forza Motorsport, Forza Horizon, Forza Motorsport. Until recently, when we got Forza Horizon 5, after it had been a couple years since Forza Motorsport, right? And at that point, it's like, well, what's going to happen? Like they said that the next Forza Motorsport, they're going for a whole new thing. They're going for like new engine, like all this stuff. They're implementing. It's going to be the next big thing with Forza. So for me, right, this Forza Motorsport, I'm more of a motorsport guy than I am a Horizon guy, right? I like the sim racing style, the track racing more than I do than the arcade racing, right? So for me, being without Forza Motorsport for so long and knowing that they're kind of rebooting it, and based on what we've seen as well, this fucking Forza Motorsport is going to be absolutely huge and insane. Bigger than any Forza Motorsport we've ever had. Maybe as big as Forza Horizon 5. And to put into perspective, we got 20 million players within the first 6 months on Forza Horizon 5. And that's an arcade racer. Right? That's an arcade racer. So Motorsport, I feel like with it being so long, with it taking that next step up, is going to ride the coattails of the popularity gained from the Horizon brand this past year. And Motorsport, this is going to be the most played sim racer ever. Jasper. Yeah, this is going to be the most played Forza Motorsport and Forza Motorsport game ever. And the most played sim racing game, maybe. Like, you're talking about all the subscribers in the Game Pass. They're going to have access to it. Talk about it'll be on Steam. It'll be on all the other platforms we talk about all the time. But it's going to do numbers, man. And people are itching for a game like this right now. I know we've all been waiting for it, right? I know we've all been waiting for it. So I absolutely cannot wait for Motorsport. And honestly, besides Starfield, Forza Motorsport is my most anticipated game this year. It will be that and Diablo. I got to include Diablo. So there's like Starfield, and then there's like Diablo and Forza Motorsport. Those are my like top 3 games this year, like by far. Then I was Redfall, and you know, it got like Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8 and shit, what else is coming? I mean, there's so much coming this year. Help me out. What are the other big games we're getting? There's rumors now for Special Nick said there's going to be potentially a Soul Calibur collection. I don't know when, but Minecraft Legends. It's like I mean, I'm going to play it, but it's not super anticipated. Hellblade 2 would be up there if that gets announced. Spider-Man 2. Yeah, I feel like I've played it. So with Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man Miles Morales. God, what else is there though? Massive games. There is, yeah, Jedi Survivors hitting this year. That's like right under those probably, babe. I'm looking forward to trying it. It's not like my number one most anticipated type of genre because it's like a Souls-like genre a little bit, but like light. But I am looking forward to that. Let me go to the storefront. Maybe the storefront will have answers because I just have a horrible memory. We're getting games like Lies of P, which is also in that category as well. Let's see. What's coming soon? MLB The Show, that typical stuff, the annual stuff. You know, you got all the sports games and all that kind of shit. I'm still looking forward to that. Sifu is about to hit on Xbox. Looking forward to finally trying that. Let's see. Dead Island 2, I have my eye on it. You know, I'm a little weary, but still a little hyped. Oh, you saw Jedi Survivor in the Target ad? That's why you said it? That's awesome, babe. Yeah, I think for me, Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, Diablo, maybe Jedi Survivor, and then you obviously have your Starfield and Forza, right? And then Redfall. It's be amazing. Jerrold Mack says Road to the Masters PGA. Is that something that a lot of people are looking forward to? Like, are those good games? The PGA Stalker 2. Thanks, Psycho. Yes. Yeah. Also, hey, note on Stalker 2. The devs just put out a notice that said that they were hacked, I think, from Russian hackers. And so there could be leaks coming out that they were trying to be held ransom with some of the information from the game. But they're not going to do anything about it. So they said just be wary about potential leaks coming for Stalker 2. So keep that in mind, right? Tony says, I'm looking forward to PGA big time. Right on. I haven't played... Well, I did play one of the golf games the last couple of years. But I didn't play a lot. I didn't play a lot of it. I used to play golf games more back in the day. I need to get into one of these 2K ones though. I really do. I think it could be fun. Arc 2 is going to be big. That's in Game Pass day 1 too, isn't it? Isn't Arc 2 in Game Pass day 1 this year? I mean, that's gonna be a big game. You know how many Ark fans there are? There's a lot of people that love Ark. Valheim's about to hit too, I think. Let's see. Space Marine 2, is that this year? It was Space Marine 2 this year. Could be pretty big. Warhammer Darktide. I'm not holding out my hopes for that right now because they're supposed to be still broken out. Hey, Jasper, I know that you were kind of keeping your eye before on the Darktide situation. I see you in the chat, Jasper. Like, is the game fixed yet? Because I know a lot of people had a lot of issues with Darktide on PC. Decado says PC has major issues still. I don't think we're going to get the console release until they have fixed the console version. I mean, until they fix the PC version. The Blue asks, what do I think about Exoprimal? I think it could be a big game. I think it being in Game Pass day one helps its chances a lot at becoming a success because you're going to get a lot of people that wouldn't pay $60 or $50 for a game like that. But you're automatically being in Game Pass. You're going to get a lot of exposure. You're going to get a lot of marketing. There's going to be a lot of people playing it, asking for other people to play with them. It's a co-op PvE type experience too. So it could be a game that just catches fire, right? It could be a game that just like explodes, or it could be a game that comes out and fizzles out quickly. I think it depends with a game like that, like because of the way they're structuring it, what that pipeline is for content and stuff. So there's a lot to look forward to the game. I'm personally excited for it because I like co-op games. And I want to play it. I got a question for y'all because there's another co-op game. That Dreadpool says only if you play with me and Psycho. Right on. That'd be a fun time. Another game that is a multiplayer co-op focused experience that was recently had a huge reveal at a PlayStation State of Play, had a massive backlash about what people saw, and just got delayed. So some people could say, well, Mav, why are you excited about Exoprimal and not Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League? Well, I would say I'm still excited about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I've been critical over what I saw because I wanted a different experience from Rocksteady. The thing with a game like Exoprimal is it's like an out of the blue random thing, right? When I'm seeing these different kind of live service type games, like the shooty games and stuff like that, like looters and stuff like that, there's a lot of them now, right? What I don't want to see is my favorite developers that have a signature style and signature type of game that they make, all of a sudden being forced into making those kind of games. Right? Like, and I feel like for me, that's kind of what it felt like when I saw Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. It felt like Rocksteady is now making a game that the gameplay systems were driven by the decision of it being a looter-based monetization battle pass style season pass game, right? As opposed to they'll make the game that they would have created without all of those systems in place, right? So that's how Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League came off to me. All the characters just using those guns and stuff and like all that kind of stuff. It's like it took away from the originality of what a Rocksteady game was. Now, for me, with Exoprimal, I had zero expectations for that. It's a random new IP off the developer. I know it's a Capcom game, but I couldn't even tell you the exact developer that's making it. It seems really cool, new idea. It's something I'm going to try. It's going to be in Game Pass. I'm going to give it a go. Whereas I feel like with Suicide Squad to Kill the Justice League, even though I'm still looking forward to play it, and I think it's going to be a fun game, and I think they're going to nail it as far as a lot of things go, it's still not what I had wanted from Rocksteady, because it's been like 8 years since Arkham, and we're all waiting for that next big Rocksteady game still, right? It would be like if BioWare stopped making Mass Effect and they came out with their next big sci-fi RPG, and it was like a shooty arcade style looking looter type thing, right? Instead of a story-based focused experience. Or like, it just doesn't fit with what I think of as a Rocksteady game, right? Exoprimal, I have no expectations whatsoever. And the thing's either going to work or not, and I'm going to try it, and it could be fun, it could be not. Suicide Squad, I have faith it's going to be fun, but I still feel like I missed out on the Rocksteady game. Except for the story and the cutscenes. From what we've seen from that, it's going to be amazing. And the gameplay could be a blast. It could be really fun. It could be polished. It could be bug-free. It could be all that stuff. But will it scratch the Arkham itch that a lot of us have had for a long time now? I don't know if it will. So Why So Serious says, what's this Exoprimal? Exoprimal is a new IP from Capcom. And basically you have these like exo suits that you wear, and you team up and you fight dinosaurs while also fighting other people fighting dinosaurs. And you're like trying to do missions and stuff. Like, I don't really know all the ins and outs of it. There's gonna be like 10 operators, I think, 10 different characters you can have and choose from. And you're gonna have these upgrade paths for all the armors and stuff like that. And PvPvE. It looks like a lot of fun. There's dinosaurs everywhere. And apparently you can play as a Tyrannosaurus Rex and create havoc. I don't know. But it just looks like dumb fun. Yeah, there's a beta, open beta. I think it's on the 17th. I think it's on the 17th. I'm not sure. It's one that like I recommend trying if you see what it's all about. But the good news is even if you don't catch the beta, Exoprimal's hitting Game Pass day 1. So you're going to find out if you like it or not. You know, I don't know if you can play it solo, Tony. That's a good question. And maybe somebody in the chat knows. If somebody knows in the chat, can you play Exoprimal solo? I don't know if you can. I think it's just a multiplayer based experience, but maybe you can. I don't know. I could be completely wrong. Don Sicario says Rocksteady wouldn't have made this type of game if they were acquired by Microsoft. Yeah, I agree with that. And here's the thing. You can still, for me, like, a lot of decisions in these games get made around the monetization models that the publishers want to force into them. So it affects the gameplay systems and like the weapons that are used and all that kind of stuff. Whereas I kind of feel like the game should be made, and if they want to implement monetization systems, they should figure out how to do it on top of what's existing. Like if you're playing Arkham games, you could have like all these challenges come out now with post content. Like let's say Arkham Knight. Let's say if they had updated Arkham Knight, right? And gave us a next gen update and came out with like battle passes or season passes and stuff. They come out with new missions you can do, and you unlock new content like for your Batman and new skins and new like batarangs and maybe new gadgets and stuff like that. That could still be fun, but like you do it after you get the core elements of the gameplay and the game down, and then you expand upon that if the game's popular, right? Like I don't think it like when you put it in as a focus from the day the game is being created, it affects the decisions on what weapons the characters are going to use. Like, how's the combat going to work? Well, we need to make them be able to do this. So that way we can add this kind of monetization to it to be able to make them have these different guns and stuff. You know, it's like, I'd rather the creators make the game. Now, Is there definitely room for games like that? Absolutely. But sometimes it's at the detriment of what could have been. And that may be the case with Rocksteady here. I don't know. We'll see. Sup, Steel Rain? How's it going? Steel's in the house. Steel says you can play solo with AI. Right on. Thanks for that info. Dakota says I think the story maybe solo. J Mac, sub J Mac, how's it going? Jasper says you will, but you get teammates. J Mac says, have I seen the finals and Veiled Experts? Yes. The finals. That's like a shooter, like looter shooter, or I can't remember exactly what it is. But it looked interesting. Veiled Experts, I don't remember what that is. There's so many damn games. Like last year we had all these gaming events, and there was so many new games announced, and I can't remember like half of them probably, but there were so many that looked so cool. Let's see what else is there. All right, so yeah, we've been going strong now, guys, for 2.5 hours, just shooting the shit, talking Xbox. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for hanging out tonight. I think this year again for Xbox is going to be a banner year. I think it's going to be one to remember, and it's going to be a special year. After all said and done, we're going to look back at it and be like, wow, if every year was like 2023, like there would be nothing more we could ever ask for, right? Like I have that feeling that we're going to be at that place at the end of the year. So we'll see. The hits got to keep hitting, the games got to keep happening, and these games got to release still. Hopefully no more delays, right? Hopefully everything that's supposed to come out now comes out within this year, and we have this amazing time playing all these games. There's going to be so much to play that we ain't going to be able to keep up. But you guys all rock. Thanks again for tuning into the stream tonight. If you do like the content again, make sure to hit the like button, share the streams out, sub to the channel, notification bell to find out when we're going live. We do have a actual podcast tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern time, with an amazing panel like Jasper and 3-Bit and Psychonauts and Fuzzy Belvedere. So we'll have a blast tomorrow, and maybe we'll have some gaming news. Mondays are great for gaming news, so maybe we'll get that tomorrow. And I can't wait to see you all again then. And I hope you have a fantastic night. I appreciate you being here. Thanks. Bye. Bye. Peace out, everybody. Later.